Hello, I'm Jordan and you're not. And so far this year, I've kind of become a little bit of a bookworm. Lately, I've read Matilda by Roald Dahl. I've read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I read Welcome to Deadhouse by R.L. Stine. And lately, I've read Dark Shadows, Angelique's Descent by Lara Parker, who actually played Angelique on the show. That's awesome. And you know what? I think she actually knows the material better than the writers did on the show. Is that bad? Sorry. Okay, so the book is 428 pages long. That's a pretty good length. I usually read books that are like 200 pages, but since I'm so into Dark Shadows, I read the whole thing. So I'm kind of bland today, aren't I? Okay, so this might be some spoilers for people that have not read the book or that have not seen the series. You really need to watch the series to understand the books. So afterward, I'll probably read The Salem Branch, and then there's Wolf Moon Rising. So there's a lot of material in here, so if I forget anything, if I don't cover something, I apologize, because there's so much going on, and I might even read a couple of segments in here. So we start off, there's two different storylines going on. We start off in, should I hold this? Look at her, she's beautiful. How could Barnabas not want her? Okay, there's two storylines. One is Angelique's past, about how she started off as this sweet, innocent little girl, and then she slowly becomes intertwined with the dark side and the devil. And then there's another storyline going on with Barnabas and his family, which takes place after the series ended in 1971. And in that storyline, Barnabas is slowly getting romantically involved with Dr. Julia Hoffman. Why couldn't that happen in the series? That's what we all wanted to see. Barnabas just kept her in the friend zone the whole time. What a dick. I always feel like I'm going to piss off all the Dark Shadows fans just for talking bad about them. You know, when I did my Dark Shadows big review, I said that Dr. Hoffman was originally a man. I made fun of that. I got so bashed. Alright, so let's delve. Is it dwell or delve? Let's delve back into Angelique's past. She starts off as this, sweet little girl, and she lives with her mom, and I forget where they live. Was it Martinique? They live somewhere. And then for some reason, she makes Angelique go off with her dad. At the time, we think that that is her dad, but we find out later it really isn't. So then he's a slave owner. He has like all these slaves, and they call them, well, that word, which it's okay for them to call each other that, but when we say it, it's just wrong. Okay, so Angelique is pretty much kept as a slave. Well, she's kept like in this room where he forces her to say that she's this goddess named Erzulie, E-R-Z-U-L-I-E, I believe. And he wants all his slaves to make them think that she's this goddess, and if they get out of shape or get out of try to escape or just slack off, that she'll kill them or something. But really she's not. She's just she was raised. I think her mom was like a witch maybe, and she knows some of these spells that she kind of practices in her own little room when she's bored and has no one to hang out with. She meets a girl named Chloe. Chloe, they kind of become friends, and she practices this little, doll making, like how she had the dolls in the show. Whenever she stab it or put a thread around it and cut like their circulation off from their neck. She tries that on Chloe, and it almost kills her. And she's, "Oh, Chloe, I'm so sorry." And then her dad finds her. Then he just throws Chloe off a cliff. Damn, that's hardcore. Okay, so over the years, she's still there, and she tries to escape. And then for some reason, there's this boy there who meets her. He sees her, and he gives her a moonstone, or he gives her a moonstone. And we find out that this little boy's name is Barnabas. and he's there with his uncle, cousin, brother Jeremiah. They never really. They say it's his uncle, which that's Joshua Collins' brother Jeremiah. They helped build Collinwood together, well, the old house. And then they always say, "Oh, I loved you as a brother or a cousin or something like that." Just say he loved him as an uncle instead of confusing me. That's like Kentucky stuff. Oh wait, I live in Kentucky. Alright, so Angelique eventually escapes with the help of this little boy named Caesar. I think his name is Caesar. And then if we go back to the present time, Barnabas is, he still thinks that Angelique might be around, might try to put him back under his vampire curse, which he's cured now. He's not a vampire no more. He's human, and so that's why he's kind of with Dr. Hoffman, because she's supposed to have helped make him human, so he feels indebted to her. At one point, he tried to kill her. That's true love, when you try to kill your future wife. So yeah, he feels that Angelique's still around, and the old house burns down. So I don't know if anything survived, or if that picture that Sam Evans made it or not. I don't know. They didn't really specify. And let's see. Then we go back to the past. So Angelique eventually begins to work with the Dupre family, Andre Dupre and Natalie and Josette. Andre is Josette's dad, and Natalie is Andre's sister. So she becomes like not really a slave, but just like a maid, I guess. So she's there for about 5 years, I believe they said. And that's when she meets up with Barnabas again. And that's when things really got interesting for me, because that whole thing with Angelique stuck in that room being like a slave, pretending to be a goddess, that really dragged on for me. I'm sorry, Lara Parker, but that was kind of get on with it. So that's when she meets Barnabas, and I really felt like she acted like he loved her. He acted like he really loved her, and she loved him. She was crazy about him, and now I understand why in the series that she was angry about it, why he went off with Josette. I mean, they talk about that in the book also, but yeah, he was all over Angelique. There was he was kissing on her, smooching on her, trying to cop a feel, trying to tap that. Why would you do that to her, Barnabas? You're a terrible person. You deserve to be a vampire. Yeah, in the series, they never really specified, their relationship. They were just, they said, "Oh, we had one night in Martinique. I loved you," and then he was, "I don't love you no more. I'm Josette." I don't do a good, Barnabas imitation. So yeah, he says he's going to marry her and take her away back to his house at Collinwood, but he says he has to go away for a year. And so, Angelique spends this whole year thinking that Barnabas is going to come back for her and love her and marry her and be with her, and she's so happy about it. And then a year later, Josette, says that, oh, she's going to get married soon, and she's happy for her. And then all of a sudden, she finds out, she sees that she's with Barnabas, and that breaks her heart. Poor, sweet Angelique. Now I know why you do what you do, Angelique. It's always about money, and you come from a rich family, if you're the Collinses or the Ewings from Dallas, which TNT rudely canceled on me. And then then we get to the familiar storyline with the 1795 storyline, which they kind of Lara Parker, she kind of elaborated on it, but it was different. They left out Victoria Winters wasn't in this part of the book at all. It wasn't. This was originally how it happened with Phyllis Wick, who was the original governess for Sarah. Okay, imagine that this line represents time. This is where are you sitting at? Okay, this is the past, and this is the future. Now, and when Victoria got there, imagine that this line skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1795. An alternate world where she is the governess, and Barnabas and Josette and Angelique, they're all still going on. It's happening as it goes on. It's like Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets when he goes back to the past 50 years ago. And then that's when we see that Angelique forces Josette and Jeremiah to fall in love, which kind of reminds me of Tommy Wiseau's The Room, where, like, let's see, Barnabas would be Tommy Wiseau's character, and Josette would be Lisa, and Mark would be Jeremiah. She really messes them up. And she makes them think that they fall in love, and then Barnabas is heartbroken, and he wants to get with her, then she forces Barnabas to get back with her, and yeah. If you don't know the storyline, you're screwed. You have to know Dark Shadows to understand what the heck I'm talking about. Okay, let me read you some segments. Pick a random page here. Okay. She tried not to look at Caesar's little penis, shriveled and gray, but she was struck by how skinny the rest of him was, shivering there beside her. Wow, that's awkward. Let's go on to... okay. He began to touch her casually as he leaned over her to reach for a hook, or to the rest of a hand on her knee, calling her attention to a frigate bird overhead. Whenever he brushed against her or grazed her with his fingertips, it felt warm at the spot, and a tremor fluttered through her body. All week she would think of the touch and... oh, wait, I lost my spot. And remembered exactly where it had been, and tried to recreate the tremor. They began to explore one another in the most innocent manner, as though to each other the other was only... what the hell? She sat in the shallowest pool of the caves one day, under the boulder that leaned out to them, and as though it would topple over and crush them. Fury slowly pulled Angelique's wet peru off one shoulder and stared at her breast, then cupped it in his hand, tracing its small round shape with his fingers and touching the nipple hesitantly as it grew taut, like a moon flowering in silken flutes. He kissed it, exploring its shape, and she felt the warmth of his mouth over the cold, firm tissue of his tongue quiver around it. Wow. Dang, I did not know Angelique was that kinky. This is like 50 Shades of Shadows. Because when it comes to Dark Shadows, I think of shriveled penises and Angelique's boobs. Yeah. In all, I would give this book a solid A, just because I love Dark Shadows, and, you know, for the most part it was really good, but just the beginning part with Angelique's story kind of stuck in that tower, it was kind of slow. But overall, it was a very, very good read. And we really felt bad for Angelique, and kind of understand why she did to Barnabas, why she did. Okay. Well, check this out. If you love Dark Shadows.